My name's Rich Harrington, and welcome to this edition of Understanding Adobe Photoshop. Today, we're going to talk about manipulating the content inside a masked image. This is useful because it allows you to reposition the content or the mask independently of one another. Let's explore. Here I've opened up a 3-layered image that contains a newspaper box with some content showing through the window. Let's turn off the different layers. At the very bottom, we have the newspaper vending machine. Then we have a newspaper that's showing through the window and a glass texture laid on top to make it look like it's actually behind some glass. Well, let's see how this works. The newspaper layer has a mask attached, and if we shift-click, we can disable that thumbnail, and you see that we actually have the newspaper. Now, if this was an advertisement for the newspaper itself or maybe another project, you might frequently need to swap out the newspaper for the current edition. And using a layer mask makes that really easy. So as you see here, we've got the image positioned inside the mask. If I shift-click, there it is, it's restored. Between the image and the mask is a little chain icon, indicating that they are linked together. This means if you select the Move tool and you nudge it up or down, the two actually move together. If you want to change things independently, click that chain icon to unlink them. This now means that we can actually move the object around. So if I press Command-T for free transform, we can go ahead and hold down the Shift key to constrain proportions and drag that into place to get more of the headline and masthead showing through. That looks good, and I could press Return. Now you see that gave you a lot of flexibility to move the fill content independently of the mask content. Plus, the mask always remains editable, especially if you're using Photoshop CS5. You could select the mask thumbnail and choose the masks panel. This allows you to quickly feather the mask if you want to create a softer transition here. Notice how we have a very hard artificial transition, but if we feather that just slightly, it starts to look a little more natural with some gentle opacity fall off at the edge. If you need to go further, you can actually refine the mask just like you'd refine a selection. Click the Mask Edge button and you can actually preview the mask, choosing to preview it over black or white, or very useful as Reveal Layer, or On Layers, which I like the best here in this case because it lets me see the mask within the context of the underlying layer. I could then do things like actually smooth out the corners a little bit so they're a little more rounded. As you see there, we're getting a nice little shadow effect that sort of matches the natural situation of this frame. And I could play with contrast and shift the edge in and out to actually expand or contract that. And I'm going to go ahead and shift that just slightly to eat into the metal texture a bit. That looks pretty good. We'll click OK, and it stores that and updates the mask. Now, once I'm satisfied, I'm going to relink that so the two stay connected. I'll just click in between to restore the link. On top here, we have the glass texture. And same thing's happening. If I shift-click, you see we could turn that off and on. And we just use the mask from below on top. That's easy to do. Let's temporarily throw this mask away by throwing it in the trash, and we'll choose to simply delete it. Now, to reuse the mask from the lower layer, we just need to load it as a selection. So on a Mac, hold down the Command key. On a PC, hold down Control. And you can go ahead and click. There it is. It's a loaded selection. Select the layer above and click the mask button, and it applies. Now, you might be wondering, how is it that that glass texture is blending with everything down below? It's just that. We're using blending modes and opacity. So up here, we've chosen the Vivid Light mode, and you'll see there's all sorts of other options, such as Overlay, Soft Light, and we chose these here because they were very natural, making it combine. And of course, we can adjust the opacity to taste until we get a natural look for that glass texture. What I wanted in this case was a little bit of scratching and surface displacement, so it looked like it was behind glass, not just cut out hole, but we don't want it to be so over the top that it looks artificial. I think using the Vivid Light mode and a 50% opacity or so does a great job. We're all set there. We've got the 2 layer masks, the mask panel up if we need it to tweak, and all 3 of our layers working together. And that's how layer masks can actually be worked with interactively. You've got great flexibility to continuously refine the mask as well as adjust the content within the mask, nudging the content or the mask, or of course scaling and repositioning as you see fit. For Understanding Adobe Photoshop, my name's Rich Harrington.